Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to our gut health awareness interview. So Megan here, and with me today is Dr. Elena Maganto. Did I say that right, Dr. Maganto?
Perfect.
Wonderful. Oh, my goodness. Yes, I believe you're originally from Spain, correct?
Yes, I am. Very far
Beautiful.
away.
Oh my goodness, yeah, very far away. Seriously, I'm like, I don't know how you got to Hawaii, but hopefully you'll touch a little bit on that, in your story. And so I'm really grateful to you, Dr. Magano, for joining me here today. Thank you for your time. And so today, folks, I'm really excited to have her here with me because, if you watched the interview yesterday, I'm just trying to raise awareness around gut health because right now, I feel like a lot of us probably have noticed that gut health has been very present, kind of the national conversation. I feel like you really can't get on the internet, especially if you're health-minded and not see something about gut health these days. And I think a lot more of us are aware of the importance of it. And so I've got Dr. Maganto here today to answer some questions and to share her perspective on it. So let's turn to you, Dr. Maganto. So could you first maybe just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
So thank you first, Megan, for giving me the opportunity to share a little bit more information that is going to help everybody. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you.
Yep.
So I am a PhD in molecular biology, specialized in inflammation and related diseases. And I'm an integrated nutrition health coach. So I do work with people who suffer from all kinds of disorders and diseases related to digestive distress and inflammation using functional medicine, which is the root cause, is treating the root cause of the problems with the right changes in nutrition and lifestyle, not putting band-aids around, not the symptoms. We go always to the root cause. So basically that's what I do. I do work with people one-on-one or group coaching or being in interview like this, trying to help as much as I can with functional medicine.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, I am just a little curious. How did you end up in Hawaii, by the way, all the way from Spain?
It's a long journey. Everybody that ends up in a journey like this, and we end up working with functional medicine more naturally, is because we have our own journey. So
Right.
as a PhD, I was a pure scientist. I was working in the lab. I wanted to be a PI, being in university. That's what I wanted to do. And I decided is why I did my master in biochemistry and then my PhD in molecular biology, because I was always really interested in how our body behaves against diseases, against anything coming from the environment. But also because I had a personal journey. Since I was a kid, I struggled with constipation, with candida overgrowth, with being overweight, and no matter how many things I did, I didn't know what to do. So I thought, maybe if I do this, I'm gonna learn what to do. So in that journey, I ended going from Spain to Boston, is where I did my postdoctoral training in inflammation and related diseases like diabetes, cardiovascular diseases. But in the meantime, I really love science, and science and nutrition work together to reduce the risk of disease in numerous ways. But I felt there was something missing inside. Like I really wanted to help people in a different way. I wanted to see the results faster, and I didn't know what to do. So in the meantime, I had the idea of going to pharmaceutical industry when I was working at pharma for 2 years. And that is where I realized that wasn't the way I wanted to help anybody. And I wanted to work with the root cause, with prevention. I didn't want to keep the people sick forever. So yeah, I was kind of like a little bit lost, and still I struggled with a lot of things. But my real inspiration was my mom, because my mom suffered from fibromyalgia since I was a kid. I remember her with tons of medications, a huge cabinet full of medications and pain. And she realized that no matter how many things she was taking, she wasn't feeling better. So she ended going to a doctor who was treating her with alternative medicine, treating her gut and emotionally, talking about the brain-gut connection. So after 3 years working like that, she was fibromyalgia free. And fibromyalgia is one of those diseases that they tell you need to just take a cocktail of medications for the rest of the life, and live like that. So I opened my eyes. I say, yeah, this is what I really want to do. I want to help people like that. So then I started, I got my own coaches, and I learned which was the food that was good for my body, and which was the way of cooking that food, because not always, the healthiest food for one person can be really harmful for another one.
Right.
And then, but I still was really stressed in that environment. So my husband and I, in one of these snowstorms in Boston, we said,
one of many.
we love Hawaii. We were traveling for 3 years to different islands, and we were always feeling that something was missing in there whenever we were leaving. So we said, why don't we just try, Let's just try. What's the worst thing that can happen? I mean, we sold everything. We did a road trip across the country, and we jumped, and we ended in Hawaii, and we knew it was the right energy to follow. And so far so good. So here I am, and doing what I want, working with functional medicine and helping people in feeling their best. So far so good. That's how I ended in Hawaii.
Yeah, that's how you ended up in Hawaii. And then also, I really appreciate you telling me your story, just how you got into gut health, because that was something I was really curious about, because again, like I feel like gut health, maybe like, I don't know how long you would even say, you probably know a little better, but perhaps maybe in the last 10 years or something, it's become a lot more of a focus. I mean, before that, I feel like it really wasn't. And so I think it's kind of interesting just how far back your story goes with gut health. Because if I'm not mistaken, it seems like that went back to, since you were a kid and were experiencing those issues. I mean, I guess as a child, when you were experiencing those things, how aware of it were you that it was caused by the gut microbiome? Like, what were you kind of thinking at the time that was causing those things?
No, when I was a kid, I didn't know. I just knew at the biochemistry level when I went, I was in high school, and then I learned all about biochemistry, and I was super in love with biochemistry.
Whoa.
I say, so there must be something at the molecular level that is not really working with my body. So I just want to learn more and see how I can heal instead of going through all these crazy laxatives and diets. And the only thing they did were just depleting my body from a lot of nutrients. And then I lost my vision, my hair started falling, a lot of had candida overgrowth. So it was more when I already did my PhD and I entered into that world. And actually, during my postdoctoral training, I was working with atherosclerosis, cardiovascular diseases, and we were putting the mice under high fat diet, the wrong fat and high sugar diet, and we were studying the cholesterol deposition and inflammation. And when we were able to revert the diet, they were able to revert the disease. And we were comparing that with other studies with a very conventional medications that you find to decrease cholesterol in the market, and they were doing the same thing or more than the medication itself. So it's when I started getting more interested in nutrition.
Okay.
But more interested in the microbiome because of candida overgrowth.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Some extensive experience there. Interesting. I love it. Okay. So now this is a giant question, and I'm sure, that we could probably talk a lot longer about this. However, how does your gut microbiome affect your body, would you say? Like, again, it's a big question, but I guess, maybe in the easiest way possible, how does gut health affect your body?
That's a very good question. Very good question.
Yeah, it's a big one.
This is a new field. There's a lot of research lately about the gut microbes. There is actually a study that is the Human Gut Project that they are getting samples from all over the world. Everybody can participate. Whoever is listening, they can participate. They get a whole screening of their microbes, and they participate in the research. So it's really interesting.
Cool.
But the microbiome is controlling everything happening in our body. Just to give you an example, there are studies that show that when they do fecal transplant, because in the feces is where you find the type of microbes mostly that are coming from the gut. When they do a fecal transplant from a lean human into a normal mouse, the mouse becomes lean.
Yeah.
If it's fecal transplant from an obese human, the mouse become obese. The same thing, they have done the same study with diabetes, like bacteria from diabetic mice into normal mice, and they became diabetic, or
Okay.
the opposite. And then
Wow.
how changing the diet of those mice that became diabetic, they were able to revert diabetes. So these are just two examples of how important is the microbiome. The microbiome is the field that is including all the bacteria that we have in our body. In our body, we have 100 trillion bacteria, which is 90% of the cells of the body. The other 10% are the organs. So I always say that we are more bacteria than human.
We are. It's kind of freaky when you think about it.
If we could see it in the mirror, we could see more bacteria than human. It's in the skin, the mouth, the lungs, the vaginal tract, and the most complex is in the digestive system. And it's important for keeping a good homeostasis and balance of our immune system. It's important for keeping the opportunistic bacteria, because we have good bacteria, opportunistic bacteria. We all have it even from birth. Our mother gave it to us. So the good bacteria is important for keeping the opportunistic bacteria or yeast like Candida in low numbers. Important for keeping the mucosa of the gut lining in a good shape. So it's important for producing certain vitamins, for absorbing vitamins, for gut motility in order to be able to go well to the bathroom, for a lot of things, but also a lot of things that we manifest and we see depend on the bacteria. And the bacteria changes within 2 weeks that you can travel to a different country.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. The first contact that we have from the bacteria is the one from the mom.
Right.
So actually, there are studies showing that kids that they were coming from C-section or they were bottle fed, they have a higher risk of getting diseases in the future compared to other kids that are coming from the regular birth canal or they are breastfed, because the type of bacteria that they are in contact with is different. So it's really, really important, the function of the bacteria. And when the bacteria is in balance, we can end up with something called leaky gut syndrome.
Yeah. Now, I believe, didn't you have something to show us on leaky gut syndrome? Yeah, if you don't mind sharing.
I have a slide in here that I think it would be useful for people to understand what is leaky gut, what is leaking in our body.
Perfect,
leaky gut is an informal term for gastrointestinal permeability.
Yes. Here we go. Yes, I see that. Perfect.
Perfect. So we can see. All right.
Okay.
So this is what I just mentioned before. I mean, the gut is the second brain of the body. It's the second brain, like everything is connected to the gut. It goes from the mouth all the way through the anus, which is our entire body, and a lot of things can happen in there. Imagine that this is your intestine, and we make the pictures bigger. This is the gut lining that is responsible for releasing the enzymes, the acids to the digestion, and it's absorbing the food that is really, really well digested. But the holes are like a strainer, are really, really tiny. So the food has to be really well digested in order to go through. But if we make that picture microscopic, this is how our gut really looks like. So this is the gut lining, and you can see the cells attached to each other. We have tons of bacteria. As I said, the most complex is in the digestive system. The blue one will be the beneficial bacteria, and this is the opportunistic. And then we have 70% of the immune system is in the gut, because we put so many things through our mouth. Wow, right? It's 70%. Is there to protect our body. A person that suffers from gastrointestinal inflammation may not be able to fight that well other kind of infections when they are coming from outside, any virus, because it's too busy in the digestive system. Or a person that suffers from chronic allergies and they don't even know which is the trigger anymore, could be because of gut inflammation, because this cell in here is the one responsible for producing histamine, these little things in here. So when we end up constantly releasing histamine, we end up with constant allergies. So this is what we really have to think about when we talk about our gut. And if we keep very good numbers of bacteria. We are digesting the food and absorbing properly. The immune system is balanced, is silenced, and nothing happens. However, unfortunately, in the society that we live, there are a lot of things that can affect the beneficial bacteria. So I would always stress the first one, because stress is the main causes of diseases in our society right now.
Yeah.
The release of cortisol affects the gut. Any pathogens that are coming from the environment, the food, or that we have in our body, any drug, which means any kind of medication, from the more simple ibuprofen to any kind of hormonal treatment, birth control pill, anything, a poor diet, too many sugars, hydrogenated oils, phytic acid, agglutinins, a lot of things that are coming from the food. GMOs, pesticides, antibiotics, hygiene and cleaning products that are full of chemicals and also affect the body. All of that decreases the beneficial bacteria. So the opportunistic bacteria or yeast start increasing and start releasing toxins that attack the gut lining. So now the gut lining is not that happy, it's losing the junctions that are keeping the cells together. So everything leaks through. It's why it's called leaky gut. It's gastrointestinal permeability. So the bacteria, the yeast, the toxins, the indigested food that becomes a toxin goes through, and now is when your immune system say, hey, what's going on in here? I have to protect your body. Inducing inflammation. If this happens for a short period of time, that is okay, because that is the mechanism of defense that we have in order to fight anything that happens. But when this becomes chronic, end up going to the bloodstream, and then from the bloodstream can end up going to any single tissue of the body. So we can end up with the most simple constipation, diarrhea, heartburn, reflux, to end up with more complicated autoimmune conditions like arthritis, joint inflammation, eczema, psoriasis, fibromyalgia, and constant allergies, Hashimoto's, Graves, anything. So I just don't like to call it with any of these names. I just call it systemic inflammation. So that's basically how important is the microbiome, because as soon as the microbiome starts getting imbalanced, and that happens really fast, our whole gut gets imbalanced as well.
Yeah, absolutely. My goodness. Wow. Thank you so much for walking through that. I think that was very thorough, and I hope that that helped you folks. For anybody who doesn't know quite as much about gut health and kind of the effects that it does have on your health overall, like hopefully that was helpful to you. I'm sure it was. So thank you very much. Another question. So I think you touched on it in your explanation, but I was hoping, could you just tell us a little bit more about the effect of gut health on your mental wellness?
Yes, so that's very important. There's a huge connection brain-gut, and people don't really even think about it. But let's put it in both ways. Stress affects the gut, but gut affects the brain. It's like the chicken and the egg, both together. So when we go through stress, we release cortisol that goes to the bloodstream, and then from the bloodstream affects the reproductive system, the immune system, the nervous system, and everything. The digestive system. So then we end up with inflammation. That's the way stress works. However, when we end up with gastrointestinal inflammation, a lot of toxins end up being in the bloodstream, and from the bloodstream go to any single tissue of the body, including our brain, which usually we don't really think about. The brain is usually the last organ that we think about. And and it's very, very important, but a lot of toxins are a lot of problems like ADD, ADHD, autism, depression, anxiety, a lot feeling moody and depressed, a lot of those conditions that we just think is our brain, feeling a foggy brain, like you are we start forgetting things. So that can be related to the gut. And I used to work with a psychologist who was referring me clients because he said that a lot of the depressions that she saw were related to how these people were eating, not to environmental factors. So there is a huge connection. Some examples for that is the serotonin. The serotonin is a neurotransmitter that makes us feel good.
Mm-hmm.
So when we are low in serotonin, we may feel a little bit moody and depressed. 80% of the serotonin is produced in the gut. So a person that doesn't really, that has gastrointestinal inflammation is not producing that much serotonin, and that is making that person feel moody. And sometimes we don't even know why. It is not something that is happening, but it's because we are not producing serotonin. Another example of how connected is the brain and our gut is that I always say that ideally everybody should be eating in 20 minutes, no less than that.
Yeah.
Because after 20 minutes is when we release a hormone called PYY. The hormone travels to the brain and binds some receptors in the brain and tell the brain, hey, stop eating because we already ate. So that's another example of the huge connection. Is why people that eat in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, they're still hungry. And it's because the brain doesn't really know that they ate. So we tend to overindulge.
Yeah, I feel like that's a huge problem in the United States, correct? You know, I feel like especially in Spain, I feel like that's something you folks understand so well, is to, you know, eat a little slower and enjoy your meal.
Exactly, but I don't think it's just in the United States. I think it's
kind of everywhere now.
It's so fast. When I was a kid. And you know, like our moms always, they tend to tell us, hurry up, you have to go to school, you gotta eat fast, right? And that is a really bad habit that we start creating in our brains. So we eat fast and we don't chew, which is important. So ideally, we want to take our 20 minutes mindful eating. So we sit down, we smell the food, we eat slowly. It requires 20 minutes. And then the person is going to realize it's not eating as much as before. It's going to get satisfied earlier. And another really important example of the connection brain-gut is milk. So there, we are the only species that continues drinking milk after breastfeeding. We cannot.
True. Yeah, that's true.
And the milk from breastfeeding is totally different from the milk that we are drinking from the cows, the sheep, or the goats.
Yes.
The problem is that we are not able to digest the casein very well, and more when somebody suffers from gastrointestinal inflammation. The casein type A1, which is coming from the cows and the sheep, is different than the goat, that is type A2. The goat is more digestible than the other ones, but when we cannot digest casein, it becomes one of the most dangerous toxins for the body. So end up going from the gut to the bloodstream and can affect the brain. And a lot of autisms that the kids develop after breastfeeding have been related to milk, to start drinking a lot of milk. So these are some examples of how big is the connection brain-gut axis.
Yeah, which is huge, actually. And I think and I feel like, you know, there's so much research happening right now, and we'll probably continue to see even more effects, you know, of gut health on, you know, the brain, and of course, so many other parts of the body, which you told us about. So that is pretty huge. So thank you very much for, you know, elaborating on that a bit. Because that's something, oftentimes I don't think we realize just that connection between our gut and then our brain. So it really is the gut really is the second brain, right? And absolutely works. Yeah, they work together. So anyway, so thank you for talking about that. Okay, so one thing I did want to ask as well, you know, as we're kind of winding up here though. So we've talked a lot about how gut health can affect you. So what are some things people can do to have better gut health then?
So I always say we have to start cleaning, because I see that a lot of people start taking a lot of supplements, but they still continue with the same lifestyle. But so the most important thing to start doing is cleaning the diet, sticking to the whole foods. That is the most important. Eliminate all packaged food, just sticking whatever is coming from the ground, is coming from the ocean. So I always put this example, like, do you see a sausage walking around? No. Or do we see a noodle sprouting out from the ground? No. So that means that's already processed. So the more we stick to real food, the more we control every single ingredient in our plate. That is the key to heal, because all those packaged and processed foods are full of additives and chemicals that are really harmful for the digestive system. So Going to the supermarket when the person is not hungry. Take time reading the labels. No more
Yes.
than 50 ingredients on the label and names that they don't know what they are or how to pronounce. No more than 3. Chewing.
Yeah.
Chewing is a very important thing because digestion starts in the mouth. The more pre-digested with the amylase, which is
Right.
an enzyme in the saliva, the better for the digestive system. Take time eating. But then there are certain things that I do like to incorporate in the day life. For example, omega-3 fatty acids is a really good supplement to incorporate to always keep a good balance in the immune system and decreasing systemic inflammation if they already have it. Drinking and putting in every single meal ginger and turmeric.
Ooh,
Those
okay.
are the most powerful roots from the planet. My favorite is to decrease inflammation. Ginger is
Okay.
really rich in gingerol. Turmeric really rich in curcumin, which are both anti-inflammatory. So drinking a cup of tea at least one every day and putting them in the meals is something that they can start doing.
Yeah.
Then in order to start healing the gut lining, another really good thing is bone broth. Bone broth is
Bone
really
broth.
good. It's really rich in
Okay.
amino acids like proline and glycine, which are good for
Ah,
boosting immunity and healing the gut. So we prevent having leaky gut. So that's good for
yes.
vegan people. Bone broth is a little bit more complicated. So
Right.
L-glutamine, the isolated form of L-glutamine is also really good. And
Okay.
of course, after you are incorporating and doing all of that and cleaning, there are many other different things important to do in the protocol because these are general suggestions for everybody, but every person's body is different. So the
Yeah.
approach is different. But then after the person cleans, then they need to start repopulating the bacteria back. And probiotic is important. So a really
Right.
good probiotic with enough strains, which means different kinds of bifidobacteria, different kinds of lactobacillus, a big number of them, that is beneficial in order to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Thank you so much for those suggestions. I think that'll be really helpful. So, in closing now, I think and you've probably touched on it, and I remember you telling me that you couldn't limit it to just one thing, but I'm going to ask you, so what is kind of the one thing you want people to know about gut health? And I'm putting you on the spot because I know that's a really difficult question.
It's not that difficult because I think I already talk too much and I
No,
give them
it's
a lot of
perfect.
advices, but actually I want to make it fun.
Okay.
So one of the most important things that everybody should be doing to know if there's something related with the gut
Mhm.
is looking at their poops.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
It looks like something like looking at my poops, that's all,
Yeah.
but
What? What are you talking about?
the books say a lot about what is going on in the body, and there is a really good thing, the Bristol stool chart. I
Okay.
recommend everybody to go and look at it because it
Okay.
tells you exactly which is the ideal poop that they
Right.
should have every day. Going to the
Yeah.
bathroom every other day is not normal. That's already constipation, and for people because they grow up like that, they
Hmm.
think it's normal. But everybody should have at least one bowel movement a day
Hmm.
and then no more than 4 or 5 times either.
Ooh, yeah, that's
And the
also the other side of it. Yeah.
consistency. So a lot of the looking at the boobs is
Hmm.
extremely important. That's one of the things and
Yes.
tells a lot about your gut. The second one is to identify if the person suffers from candida overgrowth.
Okay.
A lot of issues and a lot of brain related disorders are related also to candida overgrowth, which we all have it, not only women, we all have it in the large intestine. When it
Yeah.
gets overgrowth in the entire body, cause a lot of issues. And
Hmm.
I can tell that 90% of the population suffers from candida overgrowth.
Ooh, okay.
So blood test, stool test, or even a saliva test, it's a spitting test, can
Okay.
give you an idea of candida overgrowth. And then
Okay.
the last one, if anybody already knows that they suffer from gastrointestinal inflammation and they don't want to have any other disorder related to that, they need to follow a low carb diet because
Hmm.
bacteria is really happy with sugar,
Yes.
high carbohydrate foods, and anti-inflammatory diet to start decreasing inflammation in the gut. So
Okay.
those are kind of like not one, but three important things so they can start moving forward.
Yeah, something to start with for now, but of course there will be more to come. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Maganto. So, okay, so that was a lot of amazing information. Now, I also want to let all of you know who are watching this that Dr. Maganto also has a really fun giveaway on here. And so, Dr. Maganto, would you like to explain what your giveaway is here?
But yeah, so talking about the low carb diet, anti-inflammatory diet, I have designed a 7-day meal plan. So the person that is a little bit lost in the process of how a low carb diet, anti-inflammatory diet looks like, they can start making certain changes from now in that giveaway that I believe you are going to share the link.
Yep, I'll have it right in the description with the video. So it'll be right there.
Free, they just sign up and then they get it in their email. So
Perfect.
yeah, I'm really excited. I wanna hear from everybody what do they think, and it's vegan friendly for everybody vegan out there that
Perfect.
worried about the animal protein.
Oh, wonderful. Perfect. Okay. So yeah, folks, I will have that link in the description with the video. So just look in there, and then I'll have the link from Dr. Maganto. And then also too, just as a preview for things to come, Dr. Maganto actually has a summit in the works. And so hopefully that will be available soon. We don't have a link just yet, but when we do, I'll be sure to let you guys know about that so that you can watch. And I believe you'll be talking with several different people about gut health. Would you like to just maybe explain just really quick what the kind of the theme of your summit is?
Yeah, so I'm really, really excited about this project. The summit is gonna be an online summit, so every people from around the world can connect to it. It's gonna be live and free while it's live. And it's gonna be launched hopefully at the end of September, so everybody keep an eye on it. So it's called the Keto Solution Summit, which is the Keto word came from blending the best from both worlds, a low carb ketogenic diet from an anti-inflammatory Mediterranean diet. So, but it's not touching just food. This kind of lifestyle, I call it, is to help people in decreasing inflammation and related disorders, gut health, hormone balance, decrease cholesterol, balance blood sugar, shifting the body to burn fat instead of sugar as an energy source. So we have expert speakers. We will have more than 20 expert speakers, and we can already count with Maria Emmerich, Liam Bauer from the Health Food Pursuit. We have also Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride, which created the GAPS, which is talking about the connection brain-gut. So yeah, the spa doctor, a lot of good speakers. So I'm really, really excited to bring to all of you, all of them.
Oh, me too. I'm excited to check this out. So when that comes out, you'll have to let us know, and then, we'll get people on there. So it'll be fun. But anyway, thank you so much, Dr. Maganto, for coming on here today. I appreciate your time. And thank you everyone for tuning in, and let us know if you have any questions. Leave some in the comments and we'll be sure to answer them. But thank you very much, and we'll see you guys later.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.